Here's Brody Brazil.
I got to tell you, as a broadcaster now for several decades, one thing that I almost never ever do is publicly comment on or give an opinion on or criticize any other broadcaster in my industry. I don't feel comfortable doing that. If you want to talk sports, we can do that. Talk about public events, we can do that. But talking about other people in my industry, I just kind of shy away. But I'm going to make an exception here on Stephen A. Smith, and I'll tell you why I've got this exception in just a second. Some honest thoughts is what I want to give you in this video. I think some of it you might expect coming from me if you know me, my background, and maybe my usual takes on things. I'm largely going to say, though, that most of what I'm about to say, I think you might be surprised by my take and my opinion, my honest thoughts on Stephen A. Smith. I should also include that I do not know Stephen A. personally. I know some people that know him, heard a little bit of this and that, but I really want to do this judgment from afar, right? I really want to share my perspectives from afar. So there are no real personal bias situations going on here. One way or the other, these are my honest thoughts on Stephen A. Smith. And going back to the reason why I think this is kind of fair evaluation right now, it's not even necessarily criticism, but fair evaluation. Why this now? Well, he's been in the news largely. A 5-year, $100 million contract extension with ESPN. In the days of ESPN cutting things and scaling back and getting away from the baseball contract in the sports media world, a lot of the big heavy hitters are downsizing. ESPN is offering up one of their biggest contracts ever to an on-air talent. And man, I hate that word. I used to be called an on-air talent too. On-air is fine. On-air presenter, on-air broadcaster. Talent, though. I've never liked that. Anyway, $100 million contract extension at ESPN for 5 years. It's almost unheard of to get that type of money from ESPN as a broadcaster. He also had the recent run-in with LeBron James after some comments that Stephen A. made about Bronny, LeBron's son, playing for the Lakers. Stephen A. in recent weeks has been considered by some as a top presidential candidate. What? In the Democratic Party? So again, he's very much front-facing to the point that they had him on The Tonight Show as a guest, as I'm recording this within the last, 5 to 7 days. So Stephen A. very much in the limelight, in the spotlight, and that's why I wanted to take this opportunity to offer up some thoughts. It's got to start like this, with career trajectory. You know him here and now, right? You know what he does. You're familiar with his work in the last year, couple years, definitely the last decade when he really started to have a presence on television. This was a college basketball player who got injured and almost immediately transitioned into print journalism. He started writing articles about his college basketball team, I think, before he was done actually going to college. He was very much into this. You can tell this man bleeds broadcasting and journalism and the public sphere and presenting information and ideas and opinions. He then transitioned into radio. And I guarantee you that's where he realized his gift for presentation. There's a lot of talking in radio. There's a lot of need to use your voice and make selling points and make strong points and have valuable opinions. And that's what sports radio is. This is where the true Stephen A. Smith that we know was born. And then it went to television. And then he's got on the nice suits and ties and presents himself quite well and packages things in a debate-style show with Skip and all the others that he's worked with over the years. And then he transitions into digital. He's got his own space and YouTube channel. And now, I think what we're calling him is a pundit and a commentator. If I said, what's Stephen A. Smith's job title? It's not reporter. I want to be clear. It's not reporter. It's not journalist. That's what he used to be. But he has transitioned into all of this. He's used the experience of all this stuff early into now what he does, presenting and offering opinions. To be quite honest, it's a lot of what I'm doing here with this YouTube channel. It's different, and I'll explain why in a second. Opinion versus analysis are two different things. Stephen A. does a lot more opinion than anything else. What are his goals? If you really think about Stephen A. Smith, wants to be provocative, right? He wants to say things that get you thinking and you talking to your friends about what he was talking about earlier today. He wants to be entertaining. Nobody wants to sit there and go, when's this going to be over? You don't want that. He's got to be up on his game, no question about that. He wants to be relevant. He wants to be respected by others. He wants to be made prominent. He wants people to know that, he's got a large audience and there's a lot of people listening and what he says carries weight and value. I think he wants to be prepared, right? For any type of situation, something happens. You don't want to have him researching, wait, no, what does this mean? And what's the backstory here? He's got to be prepared literally every single day for what's about to happen and to have an idea and to kind of have an opinion already formulated. There is a pressure to come up here with a lot of opinions. Being hot on like 5 to 7 things every single day and being educated on that, you've got to be prepared. And I'm telling you, that's not easy. And I think another part of his big goals here are to keep growing, right? You want to have more people watching and listening and a bigger audience and a bigger platform. He's not trying to just maintain or sustain. He's obviously trying to grow. I'm spelling all this out just because I want you to have an idea of what you're actually watching here. What is his talent, in my opinion? Presentation, right? The ability to talk into a camera and be compelling and be watchable and be digestible. His expression, his delivery are all part of that. When he raises up the volume and then he gets really quiet and starts talking slow to you for a second to make the point hit home. Like we can all do that, but he does it quite well. He packages things up. And I do have to say, oftentimes when I make a video, in retrospect, oh, I forgot to say that part. Darn it, I didn't hit that part hard enough, or I didn't really spell it out and use the precise words that would have nailed that point. He does a very good job of that, packaging things up, like taking a confusing situation and giving it to you in a bite-sized presentation and making his points very packaged and presentable. Also, like I said before, his timeliness is of the essence. You can't have a hot take on something that happened 5 days ago. It's got to be right here, right now, on your show, on social media, and it's pretty much got to be on a daily basis. How many days off is Stephen A. Smith taking? Not a lot. Maybe in the summer months more than others when there's no basketball, no football. But his talent is also background and context. He's talked about this before. He's been doing media work for 30 plus years. And I will say this, anybody that's been around that long and has had a track record like he has, some of that applies. It matters that you stay current, but historical context and understanding a bigger picture and knowing a lot of people and having a lot of connections, super valuable. You do have to stay in it and stay updated, but having that background counts for a lot. So what's the issue here? What do people criticize Stephen A. Smith for? Well, in the case of LeBron James, let's start there. To be consistently relevant, you need to sometimes approach boundaries. You need to go to sometimes uncomfortable places. Now, I don't mean like in a sinister way. You're not out to get somebody. You're not manufacturing takes to make somebody's life miserable or accusing them of wrong things. You're just having takes that not everybody's going to love. Like 94% of people might love them and 6% of people might absolutely detest them, including LeBron, who when you're talking about somebody's son, he's probably going to want to have that word with you. Now, did LeBron need to do that on the court in front of everybody at a game with Stephen A. there? That was very intentional. The point is that sometimes you're going to get uncomfortably close to the sun when you're trying to make these takes as spicy as you can and all those things as relevant as you can. Sometimes you're going to say something that might make somebody else upset. Whether it's true or not, it can be true and they just don't like it. What are you supposed to do? That's his job. So I think that's a reason why some people aren't necessarily as fond of Stephen A. Smith. And by the way, what's my opinion on this? I'll get to all that in a second. Just hang on. Another one is that he largely sticks to football, obviously, and the NBA. And I'm not saying that I really want Stephen A. breaking down my hockey highlights or my baseball highlights or storylines across the summer. It's almost to the point where when he does, you can tell that he just doesn't care as much. So that's another criticism of Stephen A. from the baseball and hockey community. Like when he jumps in, you're like, wait, you don't ever talk about this. You don't care. You don't pay attention. And now you're the expert on this. I wish he would diversify the portfolio just a little bit so that when he went to those places, he wasn't pigeonholed as just a football or basketball guy. Look, some people may entirely just disagree with his takes overall and the way they're given. Some people don't like the volume getting loud. They don't like somebody yelling at them constantly. It's just not their thing. And honestly, it's not really my thing either. I'll watch, I'll listen, but only for certain sustained periods of time. Again, it's not for everybody. Nobody is everybody's cup of tea. I recognize that too, as somebody in this business. And I do think that sometimes there is manufactured emotion. You can't get that mad and that aggressive and that heated and on every topic every single day. There's got to be some days where you show up and say, that's interesting. All right. You know what I'm saying? It's almost manufactured when it's that level on a daily basis. So here are my takeaways. You've waited, 10 minutes for me to really get to this part. Here's what I have to say about Stephen A. Smith. I enjoy him, right? I don't dislike him. He's not my favorite, but I respect him. He's definitely been a part of molding where sports coverage has gone in the last 5 years, 10 years, maybe even longer than that. I just don't take everything he says so serious. I'm curious. What's your take? What's your opinion? All right, I'll throw that in my bucket of how I feel, right? I also don't overconsume. I cannot tell you that I've watched, I kid you not, I've never watched a full program that Stephen A. Smith was on. And that's not a knock. That is no disrespect. I just haven't. I've watched for 5 minutes. I've watched for a segment, maybe half a show. But that's about it. But I know some people, they overconsume and then they feel like, it's like when you eat too much. You loved what you ate, but you ate so much that your stomach hurts. Don't overconsume and don't take it too serious. Imagine if Stephen A. had just stayed a print journalist. If he just stayed true to writing and reporting. He never would have gotten here. He has put himself on this trajectory. He has gone from one thing to the next. I appreciate the evolution. I really do. I tell young people right now who want to get into sports media and broadcasting, don't pigeonhole yourself. Back in my day, in college, it was like, what do you want to be? Oh, you want to be a television sports broadcaster? Okay, we're going to move you over here. What do you want to be? Oh, you want to be in radio? We're going to put you over in this boat. You want to be in print journalism? All right, go board that bus right there. I don't know where we're all going, but they're separating us. Nowadays, the best opportunity is to do everything. And that's kind of what Stephen A. has now done with his career. A little bit of everything in sports broadcasting. I do think that he helped define the current sports landscape for better and worse. There's a lot of yelling. There's a lot of debate back and forth. I'm not saying debate's a bad thing, but debate every single day? I'm also here to say that what we've lost, right? What we've lost in sports media is analysis. And that's what I try and do a little bit more of. Stephen A. Smith is all about opinions. Here's what I think. Now, he gives you some analysis with his opinions, but Stephen A. is not there to offer analysis. He's there to offer opinions. Whereas I see myself as somebody to offer mostly analysis with some opinions sprinkled in. There's a huge difference there. And that's, if I'm going to be critical of one thing that I don't like that has changed in sports media, and largely because of Stephen A. and others, and many others, please, he's not the only one here. It's an opinion-based thing. What does this guy think? What does that person think? It's an opinion-based platform right now, sports media largely. I would love to see more of the analysis days. I'd love to see more of the reporting days. Programs like Real Sports on HBO, it's gone. Outside the Lines on ESPN, basically gone. Those were analysis programs. We don't do much of that anymore. That's what I try and do here on the YouTube channel. And then lastly, my criticism of Stephen A., try and expand. Or when you do hockey, when you're asked to talk about hockey, treat it like anything else. I know you don't have the background. Fake it for me, dude. I know you can. Instead of, I don't care. It's just no big deal, whatever. Same thing with baseball. I would love to see Stephen A. expand across sports. So look, those are my honest thoughts. I can't do that might be my thumbnail right there. Not everybody's cup of tea. That's fine. I appreciate him. I don't disrespect him. Those are my honest thoughts about Stephen A. Smith. Now, if everybody can get the $100 million contract, now we're talking. Hopefully he can set that trend for everybody else in sports media to get paid a little bit better. All right, that's the end of this video. Let me know what you think, of course, in the comments section below. While you're down there, thumbs up on this video if you haven't already. That helps me in this video and this channel. And lastly, do not forget to subscribe to this channel down there so I can definitely see you back here next time.